Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. Fired up, you are here with us. Hope your work week is done. Hope you didn't even have any work. But if you're still working, we'll get you to the finish line. Got a holiday coming up tomorrow, so everybody's just about ready. Punch that time clock. We'll do it in 2 hours. I basically had this entire show set up like 10 minutes after yesterday's show. And then PicKell texted me and said, we got to move to there. And then Matthew Bruni texted me. He's like, yeah, we need to move there. And so we kind of shuffled everything around. But we got a lot to get to over the course of 2 hours here, and we'll do it all. My SEC football power rankings entering rivalry weekend coming up in 15 minutes. We got to talk about the Saints. They get ready for the Rams. JD's going to join us at the end of this hour at about 1:45. Matthew Bruni's going to be with us probably 2:30-ish after the women's basketball game is over down at the Bahamas. They got off to a little bit of a clunky start down there, so we'll talk to Bruni about that. Plus, we just got word from Matt McMahon that Damian Collins dislocated his shoulder for the second year in a row. So we will see what that means for LSU basketball moving forward, and we'll talk to Bruni about it in the second hour. We've got to pick all the SEC games against the spread because I've got to have a huge week. No question about that. We got picks for the Saints and LSU coming up, so we've got basically 3 shows to boil down into one. We'll get it taken care of, and we appreciate you hanging out with us here at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali, and we're ready to rock. We'll start the same way that we start each and every show with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
All right, let's talk LSU and Oklahoma. I found a stat today that absolutely knocked my socks off. And full disclosure, we in the media, whether it's print, broadcast, radio, television, whatever, we lean on sports information departments to come up with a lot of good nuggets, and they do that. Michael Bonnet and his team over at LSU are fantastic. I don't know who the SID is at Oklahoma, and I don't know how obvious this stat was in watching the games, but man, is it impressive to look at when they put it in print earlier this week. Oklahoma has lost 6 games this year. In those 6 losses, they have been outscored on the turnover margin 58-7. 6 losses, 58-7 on turnovers. And you go, yeah, that's pretty sizable. You're going to lose a lot of games. You turn the ball over like that, and you give up a lot of points on those turnovers. That makes a lot of sense. But it's compounded. In Oklahoma's 5 wins this year, they've won points off turnover 77-8. That is a massive swing. We know that turnovers are oftentimes the biggest determination in who wins an evenly matched football game. Yes, LSU can turn the ball over 3 times in a game against Nichols, and they're still going to win the game. But you play a conference game, no matter what level, and you lose the turnover battle, you're probably going to lose. This isn't losing and winning the turnover battle. This is absolutely getting eviscerated or pummeling an opponent on turnovers. Again, those numbers. In their 6 losses, they've been outscored 58-7 via turnovers. In their 5 wins, they have outscored opponents 77-8. Jalen Milroe, 3 interceptions back on Saturday. Oklahoma wins that game 24-3. We know that turnovers have been a bugaboo for Garrett Nussmeier this year. He did not turn the ball over in the game against Vanderbilt, and LSU was incredibly efficient. Their defense held up when they were given the entire field to do so in, and LSU won the game. I feel like they won it comfortably. That's probably a lot to save a 7-point game, but I felt like they won it comfortably. But we know that you turn the football over, avalanches can happen like they did in College Station. And you don't want to coach aggressiveness out of a player. You don't want to cut the legs out from under Garrett Nussmeier by telling him to eat the football. But when you look at Oklahoma and you look at what they've been on offense this year, and we went through all those numbers yesterday on the show, 15th out of 16 teams in scoring offense. 16th in total offense, that's dead last. 16th in yards per carry, that's dead last. 16th in passing offense, that's dead last. 16th in sacks allowed, that's dead last. You start to roll these things up. Their offense cannot consistently go 75, 80, 85 yards if you're kicking off and punting and handling your business in the field position. But their offense can go a short distance. Their defense can create points. And they've done that this year, and they did that last year. Billy Bowman Jr., their safety, has got 4 touchdowns in his career on defense. He's got 11 interceptions. I hate to boil a game down into one stat, and I'm not going to boil this game down into one statistic because it's not one statistic. There are a number of factors that are going to bear out. But it stands to reason. If Garrett Nussmeier does not turn the ball over via the interception or in like Alabama when he fumbled the ball, then Oklahoma's going to have a hard time scoring enough points. Their defense is good. We went over that yesterday too. And I think they'll get some stops against LSU. I think they'll give LSU a difficult time on the ground. But, man, that turnover number is just massive. And it makes all the sense in the world. So this week, I do think Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly need to sit with Garrett Nussmeier and go, look, man, there are probably some games where LSU has to try to make a play. Like last year, like Jaden Daniels can't give up on a play against Ole Miss or Missouri last year. Like you've got to go make a play because your defense is going to give up a lot of points, and you've got to keep up. That is not the case on Saturday. Taking a sack on third down, that's fine. I know you got to punt. That's okay. I heard Joe Burrow say that in a Barstool interview back in the summer. And they were talking about how often he gets sacked. And he says, yeah, we got to look into context of when those sacks happen. Third down sack, who cares? We're punting anyway. You take a sack on first down, and it's 1st and 18 as opposed to throwing it away for 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 18 instead of 2nd and 10. Well, that really hurts the team. Third down sacks, what's the difference? And that's kind of the mindset that Garrett Nussmeier needs to take into this game. No, I'm not telling you don't stretch the field. The exact opposite, actually. You need to stretch the field. I'm not telling you that we're just going to play conservative and try to win this thing 14-10. But you do have to realize what's on the other side of you. And I know that Oklahoma ran for 250 last week, and they scored 24 points on Alabama, and they're changing the offense with the new offensive coordinator. But let's be real honest. If Oklahoma comes in here and scores 35 points on Saturday, I'll be stunned. Because they haven't shown they can do that against anybody. So that number that I saw today, I just looked at it and I went, we know turnovers are important. When you look at how reliant Oklahoma has been on them in their wins, you realize what you're looking at. That's the number one matchup I see in this game. The second is what we talked about yesterday, Jackson Arnold's legs trying to run against LSU's front seven. Lenora Sellers, Jalen Milroe, Marcel Reed diced LSU up big way. Diego Pavia and Taylor Green did not. I can't tell you specifically why that happened in each of those specific games. I just know that it did. So that's matchup number 2 that you've got to look at. And then number 3, I think, for LSU and Oklahoma in this game is Oklahoma's linebacker and their linebacking core, but specifically Danny Stutzman, who is one of the best linebackers that Oklahoma has ever had. He is going to finish in the top 5 in Oklahoma history in tackles for loss. He ranks 4th in the SEC in tackles this season with 100, and they're really good against the run. They're 6th in the country in yards per carry allowed at just 2.9, and if you go to just the last 5 games, they're allowing 2.6. Ole Miss, who isn't great running the ball, but has been pretty good over the last couple of years with Lane Kiffin, their longest run in Oklahoma was 9 yards. Jalen Milroe only gained 29 yards on 15 carries against these guys. We know how much easier things get for LSU when they do run the ball. They did run it against South Carolina. They scored a lot of points on a good defense that day. They did run the ball last week against Vanderbilt, and they controlled the game. They controlled the clock. They ran the ball against Arkansas. They controlled that game. They did not run it against Alabama. They did not run it in the second half against A&M. And we know what that means. So that's the other matchup here that is vital in this game. So it's the turnovers, Nussmeier against an opportunity defense. It's LSU's ability to corral the running game and LSU's ability to block Oklahoma specifically at the second level and create some things on the ground. Those are the three issues that I look at in this game and say LSU needs to control those. If they do, I don't think Oklahoma can come into Tiger Stadium and win. If they don't, I think it's going to be a long day for LSU, because that's exactly the formula that Oklahoma wants to use to win games, and they were able to do it last week. They got the 3 interceptions. They ran the ball, especially with their quarterback, and they stopped the run. That's the recipe. And I realize that you can apply that to a lot of games, but Oklahoma doesn't have a lot of versatility on the team. That's why they're a 5-6 football team. Those are the matchups to look at. It's our opening drive presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge. We're going to be off tomorrow. We're going to be off on Friday. So we're going to kind of jam everything we can into the next hour and 50 minutes or so. I've got my picks for this game coming up. I've got some Saints and Rams to discuss a little bit later. But when we come back, it is Wednesday. I want to get to our SEC football power rankings. We got one more of those to get to next week. And then we'll look back and see how this shook out after 1 week. I have those initial power rankings. There were some movement. We had Ole Miss number 1 the last couple of weeks. I don't think they'll remain there. We'll do some SEC football power rankings coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Invite you to make LeBear's Baton Rouge your game day headquarters all winter long. They got the biggest screens around, and now you can bet and dine at ESPN Bet in person. I tell you about ESPN Bet every single day. It's a great place to go watch a lot of games. There's some great football. It's going to be on all weekend. I highly suggest you go by ESPN Bet and watch as much of it as you possibly can. They make it easy for you. They've got great group seating table available, and they've got just a seat for you if you want it right there in front of the huge screen. They take that screen and they put multiple games on it. It's an awesome place to sit down and watch it all and wager on all of it as well. Plus, one more chance to download the Cover 5 app and compete against me. I am very much like middle of the pack at this point for the season. Got one more week to stand up strong. If you download the Cover 5 app and enter the code LABRSEC24, you can pick 5 games against the spread and have a chance to win prizes. If you're not a member, get that Penn Play app today. LeBear's Baton Rouge is your live sports headquarters. Got to be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966 for help.
Let's talk turkey. Bayou Ford can get you in a new 2024 Ford F-150 with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off America's favorite F-150 truck. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 988.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show with former Texas A&M Yell leader, Hunt Palmer. Giga Maggies.
I gotta tell you, Beck, this is one of those weeks where if you gave me a ticket to go watch A&M and Texas, I would take you up on it.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be the best environment in college football this season.
Probably.
When you think of that many years without playing, what's on the line for those two teams, hatred, Thanksgiving weekend, that's gonna be incredible. I'll just give you a little bit of a teaser on the SEC picks against the spread, which will be in hour number 2. I'm not sure I understand that point spread at 5.5.
Yeah.
Texas being favored there. Texas's best win is Vanderbilt, and they're going to go in front of 105,000 people that are going nuts, and they're going to handle their business. I don't know, man. I think that line's wrong. I think if I had to make that number, I would put A&M as a 2-point pick. That's a touchdown difference to me. But we'll see. We'll get to those picks in hour number 2. All right, we've been doing SEC football power rankings on Wednesday each and every week, and I feel like they've gotten fairly locked in. Let's see, what's the biggest move? There were a couple of 2-spot movers this week. In fact, there were 3 of them, but not a ton of movement. So I guess it's time to get to them. SEC football power rankings.
Hunt's SEC power rankings. The Georgia Bulldogs.
I gave Georgia the top spot again this week. Ole Miss was in it for 2 weeks after mauling Georgia, but I just can't, in good conscience, put Ole Miss at the top when you've lost to Kentucky and Florida. It just doesn't check out. They did annihilate Georgia, and I give them a lot of credit for that, but I think the Dogs probably deserve that top spot at this point. Carson Beck has not turned the ball over a ton lately. Has only thrown didn't throw an interception last week, which helps. So I got Georgia at number 1. Number 2.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Just ding the Rebels 1 spot here. I think that's reasonable. I think the resume is fairly strong, although they did lose in Tiger Stadium and lose in the Swamp. But I think their defense is really good. And if Lane Kiffin would just trust his defense and kick a field goal every once in a while, I think things could be a little bit different, but he doesn't, so they're not. Ole Miss, one of the best wins of the season, dominating Georgia. I've got him at number 2.
The Texas Longhorns.
Okay, I guess we'll finally learn something about Texas this week. I think we learned a little bit in the Georgia game, but Georgia's really good. If Texas loses this game, I think they're going to take a huge tumble in next week's power rankings. But, I think they've got a good defense. Their quarterback has played in big moments and been pretty good, so there is reason to believe in Texas, but it's not concrete. It's just kind of abstract, so we'll see what they can do in Kyle Field. I've got them at number 3 this week.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Got the Vols at 4. Probably should have put them at 3, but I've got them at number 4 right here. Again, didn't necessarily play poorly at Georgia, and I think they'll handle their business against Vanderbilt. They'll be in the playoff. Are they a threat to win it? I don't know. That offense needs to play better than it has, but I've got Tennessee as the 4th best team in the league.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Gamecocks up to number 5, and they are a playoff threat at this point. South Carolina can make it. If they can beat Clemson, they've got a chance. And I think they've got a good chance to beat Clemson, quite frankly. They've found an identity. Norris Sellers is playing way better. He's avoiding sacks. He's not turning the ball over. They run it really well, and that defensive front is as good as any in college football. That's just the way it is. So they move up 1 spot into the top 5 in the league, the South Carolina Gamecocks.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Tide tumbles down to number 6. On their good day, they're really good. On their good day, they embarrassed Georgia for a half and beat them. They came into Tiger Stadium and made LSU look like a JV team. On their good day, they're good. On their bad day, yeesh. That was a bad day in Norman, Oklahoma. Jalen Milroe didn't look like a college quarterback. He looked like the most athletic high school kid on his team that doesn't know how to throw. That's bizarre, but it is what it is. They're just not consistent, and I don't think they'll be in the playoff in year one under Kalen DeBoer, and that makes me happy.
Texas A&M!
Aggies at number 7. I think some people can make the case they could be better. I don't fully trust Marcel Reed. I don't fully trust him to pilot that team to do really good things on offense. As long as they can keep it on the ground, they're functional. I think that defense is legit, and I do think Elko is a great defensive coach. But they do have some flaws, especially in the passing game and with the weapons on the outside. So I'll take A&M at number 7.
The Florida Gators.
SEC Billy. SEC Billy.
He's shed the Sun Belt name.
Shed the Sun Belt name. That's a couple of nice wins there. The folks in Gainesville love him. They're chanting his name as he comes off the field. He gets another year. He's got his quarterback, and they're in the top half of the SEC at this point. I've got Florida up a spot to number 8.
The LSU Tigers.
LSU does move up one spot after beating Vanderbilt. They jump the doors to the number 9 spot. I think on their best day, LSU's tough to handle because the quarterback can make a lot of plays. But on their worst day, that defense is bad, and the quarterback throws it to the wrong team, and that happened too often this year, and that's why LSU is not in the top half at this point. I got the Tigers at number 9.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Vandy tumbles a couple of spots there. They only lost by 7. But with my eyes, I'm watching it not feeling like they were a threat. I think that's kind of the point with Vanderbilt all year is that they do look pretty good at points, and they rarely look great. And they're not great. They're okay, and that's why they're 10th.
The Missouri Tigers.
Missouri stands pat. They're playing better on offense. No question about that. Brady Cook has gotten a little healthier. They're scoring a lot of points. They scored in the game against Oklahoma. They scored some points against South Carolina. I think they'll score some points against Arkansas this week. Luther Burden's career coming to an end there. Just a disappointing year, I think, overall for Missouri, but not one of the bottom 5 in the league.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn moves up one spot to number 12. I believe Auburn may have occupied the doormat at one point in these rankings because they couldn't win a league game, but they gotten on track a little bit. Peyton Thorne has only thrown 1 interception since the 1st of October. That's a huge improvement for what they were doing early in the season. They were throwing it to the other team half their drives. Hugh Freeze has got a pretty good offense. They just don't quite have the talent level yet to compete at the top of the league. We'll see if they get there with this signing class. It looks pretty good. Cam Carter, freshman receiver, very good. Auburn at number 12.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Hogs at 13. They tumble a spot. They're not playing great against the elite teams in the SEC. Didn't hang with Texas too much. Got killed by Ole Miss. Crushed by LSU as well. Not a great team, but I think a team that is okay and will have a chance to go to Missouri and win. But they're towards the bottom here at 13.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
I realize they beat Alabama, but those 3 turnovers are not going to happen every single week, and I feel like that offense is just anemic. So I like the defense. It is strong. The offense is so bad. I can't move them off the 14 spot here.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky is really bad. They've lost 5 of 6. 1 win was against a team outside of the FBS in Murray State. They're just they're not good on offense. They've made a quarterback change. They're not great on defense. I cannot explain the Ole Miss result. I just can't do it. I've got Ole Miss at 2 and Kentucky at 15, and they went on the road and beat them in a league where everybody's winning at home. But that's been the only real shining moment for Kentucky. It's hoop season on the Bluegrass.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
They got to go recruit. It's almost recruiting time, signing day time for Mississippi State. That defense is the worst in the league by a long shot, and maybe they caught a break last week when Ole Miss lost, and they may not get the Rebs' best effort in the Egg Bowl, but I got Mississippi State at 16. That's not a very good team. So Georgia 1, Ole Miss 2, Texas at 3, Tennessee's at 4, South Carolina moves into the 5th spot, Alabama back 2 spots to number 6, A&M at 7, Florida in the top half there at 8, LSU's 9th, Vandy dips to 10th, Missouri at 11, Auburn's at 12, Arkansas at 13, number 14 is Oklahoma, 15 Kentucky, 16 Mississippi State. Beck, what are your thoughts on those power rankings?
I'm trying to remember where Oklahoma was last week. Were they 14?
Oklahoma was 14. The bottom 3 did not change. Oklahoma, Kentucky, Mississippi State. Do I need to move Oklahoma when they beat Alabama?
Yeah, I think so. I understand, like, they have been really bad the whole season.
And Arkansas and Auburn are right in front of them, and Oklahoma's defense is better than any unit Auburn or Arkansas has. But their offense gives me the night sweats.
Yeah, I get it. I would probably have them
above Arkansas.
I'd probably have them above Arkansas at least.
Here, full disclosure, and I realize that the most recent week is a new data point, so it should have a big impact. But I try not to be reactionary week to week and then just look at the whole body of work. So if I'm doing that, I'm going to look at Arkansas beating Tennessee as a really strong performance as well. And Arkansas went to Mississippi State and scored like 60-something. So that was good too. I'm not. You may have a point there. I'm not married to Oklahoma being worse than Arkansas, and I'm going to pick LSU and Oklahoma. And I do think Oklahoma's got a chance to come to Tiger Stadium and win.
Yes,
because the matchup is not great for LSU. I think that when LSU's run game's gotten neutered, things have gotten a little hairy. And Oklahoma wants to run the ball, so I think there's reason that they could come in here and win. But that offense just.
Yeah, it's been bad. It's probably the worst. I mean, them and Kentucky are in contention. Suppose who has the worst offense?
They both shuffled quarterbacks, and both had. Hey, how about that? Both had 5-star quarterbacks piloting their offense.
Yeah,
I hope that happens
crazy.
to Michigan for the next couple of years. Is that sour grapes?
Wow.
Yes, it is.
It is.
We'll come back, talk a little bit about the Saints and the Rams coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about One Bath and Closets. David Duvall and his team are fantastic. You can check them out at onebathandclosets.com. David's been at this for over 30 years, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If you're thinking about what to get a loved one in your life under your roof for Christmas, how about a brand new bathroom? How about a brand new closet? Closet can be a big deal. I didn't realize how big a deal a closet could be until my wife moved into my house and she hated our closets. It was not great. And we had jackets and shirts and different rooms and suitcases shoved up in the attic. We just didn't have enough space. So when we moved, we decided to go ahead and prioritize closet space. And it's made all the difference. You don't have to move to prioritize closet space. You can just call David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets. They do fantastic work. They're going to be able to finance it if you'd like, 18 months, 0% if you qualify for it. And the consultation's free. That doesn't cost anything. So have David Duvall and his team come over, tell you what they can do for you and what price they can do it. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. Check him out online, onebathandclosets.com. Onebathandclosets.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is one of the busiest travel days of the year, they tell me. A lot of people taking a long weekend, hitting the road, surrounded by family. So if you are traveling, hope you're doing so safely, and we appreciate you for making us part of your travels. I'll be doing some of that traveling coming up here in about 2.5 hours, I would suggest. Got to get the wife to punch that time clock, and then we are headed north. Shift the kiddo up yesterday, so it was a nice morning in the Palmer house without a kid yelling or screaming that he wanted a waffle or trying to put on Peppa Pig on the TV. It was nice. I could watch some sports and get some work done without the little guy around. But I'll be excited to see him later. JD PicKell, speaking of kids, just had one last week. Will join us here in about 12 minutes to talk some national college football. The updated college football playoff rankings were released last night, so we'll get JD's thoughts on all of that as well as a thumbnail on LSU and Oklahoma. Time now to talk a little Saints. The Saints will welcome the Rams in on Sunday. It's a rare 3:05 kick inside the Dome. I always appreciate the 3:05 kick when I was going to games because I do like to have a couple cold beers at the game, and I just always found it a little bit awkward going to the game and having a couple of pops and then walking out at 3 o'clock. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do now?
I cannot believe.
Got a bit of a buzz. Like, am I supposed to go out? Do I just go home and take a nap? Like, what's the rest of the afternoon?
I cannot believe you're saying this right now because you're also the same guy that I talked to yesterday, saying that even though you're going to be playing golf at 8 o'clock in the morning, that you're still going to be drinking.
I don't have work the next day.
Okay.
It's a weekend. It's a holiday.
It's Sunday.
Sunday's I got to go to work tomorrow. So but if it's a 3:05 game, you just roll out of there 6:15. You go have a glass of wine or something at dinner, and then you call it an early night. It's just a more efficient use of the Sunday fun day.
All right, that's fine.
Okay. Well, either way, they're going to play at 3:05, and it'll be the Saints and the Rams. The Rams on paper, offensively, look incredible. You've got Matthew Stafford, who I guess is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think that's probably fair to say. He's got his Super Bowl now, and he's going to hold a ton of records because he's been in the league so long in a past happy era. I would suggest he's going to go into the Hall of Fame. You have Cooper Kupp, who was the best receiver in the league a couple of years ago. You've got Puka Nacua, who set the world on fire last year. Kyron Williams has been great at running back for him. The skill positions for the Rams look really, really good, but they just haven't been consistent. One, they haven't been healthy start to finish, but nobody really is in the NFL. And they just have not been as consistent as you would like. I mean, you're talking about a team that has only scored 2 first-quarter touchdowns this year. 2. That's just getting off to terrible starts. They did score a touchdown in the first quarter in the game against Philly, and then in the second quarter, they had -6 yards of offense. They were 0 of 8 on third down against Philadelphia. That's the first time in 5 years they didn't convert a third down. Now, a caveat to that, they did go 3 of 3 on fourth down. But still, you're trying to convert on those third downs. You go 0 for 8. That's not very efficient. They just have not quite gotten it in gear thus far offensively. Now, the question is, are the Saints game enough, man enough to step up and stop them? You're talking about a team that scored 20 on Philly. They scored 15 on the Dolphins. They scored 26 on Seattle, 20 on the Raiders, 19 on the Packers, 18 on the Bears, 10 on the Cardinals. And this is not a team that's consistently scored 28, 30 points. And the Saints have been susceptible to some of that previous to this last 2 weeks. And I do feel like while you have maybe made some improvement and gotten a little healthier over the last 2 weeks, it certainly helps when you play some of the lesser teams in the NFL. And Cleveland offensively qualifies as one of the lesser teams in the NFL, certainly, with Jameis Winston playing quarterback. And, Atlanta is pretty good, but and you held them to 17 points, so maybe that's a step in the right direction. It's a question that will be answered coming up on Sunday. I still think Matt Stafford's got enough in the tank to make plays. I think Cooper Kupp's probably lost a step, but you're talking about 2 young corners that you're trying to cultivate. That's a tough challenge for them. So is certainly Puka Nacua on the other side. And then run defense, which has been vital to this Saints team. When they've played well, they've stopped the run. When they have struggled, they've gotten gashed. We saw Carolina establish the ground game on them. We saw the Chargers establish the ground game on them. We saw the Broncos run all over the place. They were just running wild in that game. Tampa scored 51 points. And I'm trying to parse together how much of the Saints' struggles over that 7-game losing streak was talent, how much was execution, how much was a culture disaster. And there's really no way to know until we get more sample size on the other side. It made all the sense in the world the Saints went out there and played well against Atlanta, and it made, because that bump and the renewed sense of life and the cloud being lifted up with the firing of Dennis Allen, like, it made a lot of sense that they would do that. And it makes a lot of sense to beat the Browns, quite frankly. It just does. But can you sustain it? And I think the Rams are a good test, because if Detroit was coming into the Dome, well, I think we all know how that would go. If Mahomes was coming to the Dome, or you were going to Kansas City, I don't feel like you would maybe necessarily learn a lot about this Saints team, because they're just not going to win those games. But the Rams are essentially similar to the Saints in terms of talent and in terms of what they've done to this point in the year. They've gotten dusted a couple times against some of the better teams in the league. They've showed up and had some nice performances. They've got a veteran quarterback. Kamara and Kupp probably similar in terms of where they are in their careers. And so if the Saints can go out there and beat this Rams team, I think that would show me that there was something broken late in that Dennis Allen tenure, in addition to the injuries. If the Rams come in here and win a 38-17 game, I'll go, well, you got the coach bump and the Browns stink. You're coming off a bye, you're as healthy as you've been in a long time, and you're playing a team that's essentially on level footing with you, and it's in your building. This will tell me a lot about where this Saints team is and what Darren Rizzi is doing. I'm personally not sitting here right now and banging the table for Darren Rizzi to become the next coach of the Saints. I'm not. I think the Saints need to clean house and rip this thing to the studs. I've been steadfast in that. But I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to watch. And this would be a good start to that. I'm not going to learn a lot from playing the Giants, because they are a dumpster fire. And that's next. But you talk about Rams, Commanders who are struggling right now, at the Packers who are very good, Raiders. If you can get something going in that stretch of season, I'll listen. I'll listen. Right now, I'm in wait-and-see mode. I can explain the Falcons game. I can explain the Browns game. It becomes more difficult to do that if they beat the Rams. I'm not talking about the playoffs. I'm not talking about the division. I'm just talking about these 60 minutes that we're going to watch on Sunday. And if the Saints can show up and play a solid football game against a team they're level with, I think that there's reason to start thinking about Darren Rizzi as a guy that's really changed some things in there. And it's more than just the injuries. There's been a renewed sense of belief. And you could point to Las Vegas with the Raiders and say, well, they kind of succumbed to that and they're not very good this year. And that's fair. It's a hard league. But I'm not at that inflection point just yet. Maybe I get there coming up on Sunday. The Rams are a favorite, a slight favorite in the Superdome. We'll give a pick for that game coming up a little bit later on this show. Our Saints coverage, always on YouTube. You can find it Hunt on Saints on YouTube. Again, that's Hunt on Saints. All our Saints coverage is right there, cut up into little 8, 10, 12-minute segments, so you don't have to scroll through the entire show to find some Saints content. You can just do it right there at the touch of a button on our YouTube channel, Hunt on Saints. Subscribe to that if you would. We'd certainly appreciate that. When we come back, we're going to chat with our guy, JD PicKell, host of The Hard Count. Speaking of YouTube, he's there each and every day with his college football content. New college football playoff rankings are out, plus a thought on some of the SEC games coming up this weekend on Rivalry Weekend in college football. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. EvolvePT.com is that website. Robbie Bolton and his team, fantastic over there at Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. They're all about getting active people back to their active lifestyles. If you're an active person who who can't work out because of pain, who is recovering from a surgery and is trying to get back to where you were previously, no matter if it's a youth athlete or someone in their 60s or 70s. If you're active and want to be active but can't because of pain or trying to rehabilitate, Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports is where you need to be. It's state-of-the-art. It's first class. Everything they do is hands-on, from the isokinetic testing that measures your return to strength, from the cupping, dry needling, scraping. They can do all that kind of stuff right there at their facility. It's on Starring near Highland Road. Again, no matter your age, if you're an active person trying to get back to your active lifestyle, Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports is where you need to be. It's Robbie Bolton and his team at Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. Check them out online, evolvept.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram can get you in a new 2025 Ram 1500 truck with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off the newly designed Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, hosted by the Goo Goo Dolls' #1 fan, Hunt Palmer.
Scoring update from down at the Bahamas. Number 7, LSU 59. Number 20, NC State 46. Anissa Morrow, 16 points and 11 rebounds for Kim Mulkey's Tigers. There are 46 seconds to play in the third quarter. LSU with a 13-point lead. That's now been struck to 10. A 3-point jumper there by NC State. So Tigers going to go to the fourth quarter with a lead. It'd be a nice ranked win for the Tigers, who are 7-0 to this point. Let's talk some football. JD PicKell, host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports, with us every single Wednesday and joins us now on the eve of Thanksgiving. Happy Turkey Day. How are you, sir?
Dude, I'm doing phenomenal. I appreciate you being so flexible. I hit you up, I think, at like 11 our time, maybe even later than that, and you're just like, hey, no problem. Let's get you in there, system guy, quarterback. I mean, running the offense. So I appreciate you.
I had a different shuffle after you had requested that. We just make things work here. We're basically, as I told my production staff, like we are basically jamming 3 shows into one here because we're off tomorrow and Friday. So there's plenty of content to get to. We just got to find out what order we're going to get to it, and we'll talk some football now if that's okay with you.
That sounds phenomenal with me, brother. I mean, we only got so much time left here, man. We got one more regular season week. It hurts a little bit.
That's it. Man, what happened in Norman, Oklahoma over the weekend?
Sure. I mean, if you didn't realize that Nick Saban was gone after the Vanderbilt loss, I mean, it was reaffirmed, reemphasized in that game in Norman. The thing that I think just is so troubling about Alabama, and a reason why I picked Bama to beat Auburn this weekend, but I feel horrific about it.
Yeah.
Jalen Milroe, if he's not working on the ground, that Alabama offense is a failure to launch situation. Like, I mean, you look at the 3 lowest rushing totals of the 4 rushing totals that are lowest on the year for Jalen Milroe. 3 of them have came in losses, and it's like 7 yards, 10 yards, 11 yards. So the bottom line here is, if you stop Jalen Milroe's legs, that Ferrari of an offense we saw against Georgia, we saw against LSU, like it has zero ability to do anything. So I'm very curious to see what Milroe does here in the not-distant future as it pertains to the NFL. I believe he still has another year of eligibility with the whole COVID situation. I think he might be the last of that. But, yeah, that was a very, very bad vibes in Tuscaloosa, and it makes sense why.
Do you think this was Ole Miss's best shot, or do you think that they'll have an opportunity to return to this talent level in the coming years as spending that money in the collective?
I guess my question is, are you down to take another swing at this thing?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how much money was invested. I would have to imagine it was more than ever before in the young NIL era for Ole Miss. If I am shelling out, let's say, optimistically $1 million to go get us a national title or to go make the college football playoff, and to finish with, let's go ahead and assume they beat, Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl, and we finished 9-3, like, you're asking me for another $1 million? I'm saying, show me some wins, I'll show you another $1 million. And I mean, I get that, this year you had some things that just didn't break your way, and, you feel like you probably should have beat, Kentucky. That was a game that you let get away. The Florida game you let get away. And so I'm just like, if I'm giving you more money, I need to see something to know that money is going to be utilized to the nth degree, and I'm not just throwing money at a 9-win football team. So that's a roundabout way to say it's definitely their best shot. I just wonder how resilient that group is out there in Oxford when it comes to writing checks.
It's an interesting thing because most of the time when wealthy people are asked to invest their money, there's a financial return that comes back, theoretically. It doesn't always work. That's the point of investing. But, there's financial benefits that come back. This is not that. You're just investing in happiness, basically. So, there's nothing that's going to come back. It's just a sunk cost every time you do it. I'm just curious how motivated boosters around the country, not just at Ole Miss, are going to be to do that every single year when the money doesn't come back.
And I think the big thing, too, that you mentioned there, Hunt, is if I am putting a certain amount of investment into something, and I am probably pretty wealthy or pretty intelligent if I'm pretty wealthy, I am handing that money over to somebody else to do a job. And at some point in time, if that job doesn't get done, I start feeling like, well, how can I put my hand even further into this cookie jar to get the result that I want? Do I start going off on my own and saying, hey, we're going to go land X, Y, and Z recruit, X, Y, and Z guy out of the portal, and then you have guys committing to schools that are just, in the worst case scenario, you would imagine there's not alignment with the staff and things get really weird. The thing that is curious to me about the whole NIL era, and we're seeing it right now with Michigan. Michigan very clearly had alignment. They had an apparatus between the staff and the resources to get it all worked out where they landed Bryce Underwood. I don't know that activation of funds just automatically will translate to results if you throw enough money at it. You still have to have intelligent people doing intelligent football things during the offseason, on game day, behind closed doors. And so I think the players is a non-negotiable part of it, but having the staff to make it all go as well is, I think, something that might be the next evolution of seeing big bags being dropped.
Let's talk another big picture issue before we get to the games this weekend. I'm looking at the college football playoff rankings, and I would suggest that Texas and Notre Dame and SMU and Indiana are in this top 10 right now based more so on schedule strength than the strength of their roster. Is that a problem in college football?
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And the thing that I tweeted out actually last night post rankings and just my mentions turned into a war zone. If I'm the SEC and I'm South Carolina, Ole Miss, Alabama, and you're telling me by nature of these rankings that we are a better football team than Arizona State, but Arizona State gets an auto bid in the college football playoff, and, if you were to put South Carolina on a field with SMU tomorrow, I have to believe South Carolina is favored. Not the way that the whole thing works. I get that, but, if that's what we believe to be true, at what point in time does the SEC just say, and I get Texas in that equation you mentioned just now, but at what point in time does the SEC just say, forget this, we're just going to go make our own playoff with the Big Ten? We're the drivers of the revenue, we're the drivers of the interest in the sport for, most parties involved here. We don't need to have this deal where SMU is getting in ahead of us or Boise State has the auto bid in the first round bye. It's such an imperfect system. That's the first iteration of it. I don't see a world where we keep this playoff format because of the people that are unhappy, that are honestly the most powerful when it comes to those different institutions.
The Big 12 and the G5 having an auto bid is a laughingstock. It makes the sport a farce. It's absurd to have those teams have an auto bid to get in. I don't need everyone getting a seat at the table just because. I think they need to put the best teams in. And this is independent of LSU because LSU is nowhere near this discussion. But certainly South Carolina is a team that would have a legitimate beef if they could beat Clemson, that a team like SMU is going to get in. But that's a bigger picture topic for another day. I do want to talk about some of these games, and we've got about 4 minutes to go here before the top of the hour. So let's start with what I think is going to be the best environment in all of college football for the season in College Station, Texas, coming up on Saturday night. How do you see that one? Texas is a 5.5-point favorite, which surprises me, quite frankly, JD.
I know we got 4 minutes, so I'll go rapid fire here. To me, it's about, can Texas call the game in rhythm with Quinn Ewers? We've seen Quinn Ewers look great at times. Haven't seen that really in quite a few weeks. If he can dial it up, he being Steve Sarkisian in relation to getting Quinn Ewers going, I don't like Texas A&M to do what they did the week before and catch a team that's ahead of them by 21 points. So I'll take Texas. One more thought here. I think Arch Manning has a role in this game, Hunt. I really do. I don't think it's a split reps, get him time. I think it's have a change of pace. It's wrinkle season. Get Arch Manning involved in the run game. Get a little quarterback design run stuff for him and have him throw A&M off guard, much like South Carolina had success doing with Lenore Sellers.
Clemson and South Carolina. Really interesting one there at Clemson. Does South Carolina have a chance to go in there and beat their in-state rivals?
Am I the only one who thinks that the wrong team's favored there? I mean, Clemson minus 2.5. I don't know how they're blocking Dylan Stewart. Don't think they're stopping Lenore Sellers. I would take South Carolina to just absolutely mollywop the good folks out there in Death Valley in Clemson, South Carolina.
Man, that's something. Juice Wells leaves and tells Shane Beamer it's because y'all don't have a quarterback and they might end up into the playoffs somehow, and Ole Miss might be at home. Let's talk about the Iron Bowl. Interesting one now after last week's developments. Auburn's starting to move the ball a little bit, and Alabama looked a mess in Norman. What do you think about that one in T-Town?
Looking at Auburn against running quarterbacks, we spoke about Milroe. If he gets rolling on the ground, it's game, set, match. Taylon Green had 80 yards on the ground against them. Michael Hawkins Jr. from Oklahoma had around 70 yards. So if Jalen Milroe is in that neighborhood and he has the explosive runs, it's not like a 20 carry, 65 yards kind of day. If it's like 10 carries, 70 yards, I think that ends up kind of being the domino effect where everything else opens up. I'll take Alabama to bounce back. I don't think Auburn's able to play as clean as they did the week before. I don't know if I see that happening 2 weeks in a row, so I'll take Bama.
Plenty of time. We got 2 minutes here. I'll get you to LSU and Oklahoma. It's a new iteration of the SEC rivalry into the season inside Tiger Stadium. I'm excited to see Oklahoma come out of that tunnel. I've been watching Florida and Alabama and Tennessee and Ole Miss for years. It's just a little bit of a different flavor. What do you think about the matchup?
I'll take an agitated LSU and a potentially let-down spot for Oklahoma. I really love Brent Venables. I'm not even so sure Jackson Arnold isn't still a guy, but I think the pass rush of LSU overwhelms him. And I think the Tigers finished on a high note, and Oklahoma finishes at 6-6.
Have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the long weekend of football, JD. We'll talk again next week.
Go Tigers.
JD PicKell hosted The Hard Count. If you're looking for your college football content, you can find it on YouTube from him. He's with the On3 team, and he does a fantastic job, always good enough to spend a little bit of time with us here. I concur with a couple of his picks. I disagreed with a couple of them as well. So we'll get into all of that in hour number 2. I've got my SEC picks against the spread coming up on the other side of SportsCenter. Matthew Bruni's going to join us probably at 2:15, maybe 2:30. We're just monitoring the LSU women's basketball game down there in the Bahamas. He's going to join us once that goes final. So had that score. They've started in the fourth quarter now. LSU does have a lead in that game. It is 63-53, a 10-point lead with 7 minutes to go. So stands to reason. Probably going to be closer to 2:30 with Bruni. So we'll get some SEC picks against the spread. We will do some Saints talk. We'll talk about LSU and Oklahoma as well, and we'll get our final picks coming up at the end of the show. If you missed any of the first hour of today's show and you want to check it out while you're commuting, wherever it is that you may be going for this Thanksgiving holiday, you can do it wherever you find your podcast. Hunt Palmer Show. You can search that on Apple's Podcast, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound. You can find us certainly on YouTube as well. And do want to remind you, our basketball segments all season long are going to be put at the Hoops with Hunt podcast. The old one that we had forever, I think it goes back to 2018 when I started doing Hoops with Hunt. So if you listened then, you can pick right back up. It's the same feed, and it's all our basketball segments from the show archived there each and every day, so you can certainly check that out. We opened the show talking about LSU and Oklahoma, specifically points off turnovers and how big a deal that's been for Oklahoma this year. My SEC football power rankings are at 115. A little Saints-Rams talk at 130. Find all of that on demand. We're going to step aside for SportsCenter, a quick timeout. When we come back on the other side of SportsCenter, my picks against the spread. We have got to have a big week. It's the last week to get things in gear and finish over 500. If I can do that, we'll feel good about things. So come back on the other side of SportsCenter. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every car on the lot at Genesis of Baton Rouge is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. A lot of folks love to put a big Christmas bow on a new ride. If you want to do that this year, head over to Genesis of Baton Rouge. It's on Airline near Piku. It's a fantastic experience to go by, work with their brand ambassadors, and get behind the wheel of a Genesis. If you've never done it, give it a shot. Just put it on your list. It's a luxury vehicle at a reasonable price. That's the model over there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single new Genesis at Genesis of Baton Rouge comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. 10 years, 100,000 miles, plus 3 years of complimentary maintenance. 3 years of complimentary maintenance. That's just part of the experience of being a Genesis driver. Every single vehicle on the line, top safety pick. Check them out online. genesisofbatonrouge.com. genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Let's talk turkey. Bayou Ford can get you in a new 2024 Ford F-150 with $15,000 off MSRP. $15,000 off America's favorite F-150 truck. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just...
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Daniel Jones has decided on his next destination. The former Giants quarterback's agreed to sign with the Vikings. His reasons: Minnesota's in playoff contention, and he gets a chance to work with a quarterback-friendly offense under coach Kevin O'Connell. ESPN NFL reporter Kimberly A. Martin.
If you're Daniel Jones, you're looking at Minnesota, you're looking at Kevin O'Connell, a guy who's paired with Kirk Cousins, a guy who's paired with Sam Darnold, and it almost feels like Minnesota's that place where QBs who teams have given up on, they go to Minnesota, and somehow he, schemes it so that you take advantage of their skill set.
ESPN's Adam Schefter reports one-year deal for Jones, $375,000. He starts out on the practice squad. Giants quarterback Tommy DeVito, forearm injury, a long shot to play tomorrow against the Cowboys. Drew Lock is in line to start instead. Chargers running back J.K. Dobbins not expected to play against the Falcons on Sunday due to a sprained MCL. Gus Edwards is expected to get the bulk of the carries versus Atlanta. NHL Sabres leading scorer Tage Thompson returns from a lower body injury tonight against Minnesota. 7 Eastern, ESPN+.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Thursday, Dolphins fans, come closer. Listen up. I know you think your team could still make the playoffs, but I'm going to tell you why my Packers are going to end your dream. Happy Thanksgiving. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Fired up, you're with us. One more hour for us working this week. We're off tomorrow for Turkey Day and going to step aside on Friday as well. Live at lunch, we'll broadcast from Rufino's for a football Friday. Jimmy and Charlie will be there on Friday. But the rest of us going to take some time off. You can find me on the golf course on Friday, which I'm very, very excited about. But hope everybody's traveling safely. Hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Just got a little tweet come across the old timeline. Not going to rant and rave. Just going to give you the info. LSU will wear white helmets, purple jerseys, and white pants on Saturday night in Death Valley. That means half of the games this year, LSU has worn a uniform other than gold helmets, white jerseys, gold pants.
Yeah. No comment?
I don't have a comment. I'm out of comments. There are no more comments to have. Okay. All the comments have been commented and then commented on further. And you understand where I stand on this. It just makes me really sad. And that's all we'll do on the comments. We got a lot to get to in hour number 2 here. Matthew Bruni is going to be with us when the women go final from the Bahamas. They are rolling right now over NC State, 74-57, a 17-point lead over the number 20 team in the country. LSU leads it with 3.5 minutes to go. So we'll get to Bruni here coming up probably in 30 minutes from right now, but we'll kind of play it by ear a little bit. All right, Beck, let's have a conversation here.
Okay.
We have been picking games against the spread all year.
Yep.
And it comes down to one more week. I'm not going to do the SC. Well, I will do the SC championship game if it matters. If I have a chance to break some sort of, if I'm 4 games under or 4 games over 500, I'm not going to do the SC championship game. But if we're right there on the precipice, then we'll do it. But right now, through 13 weeks, we have picked 103 games. And we are 50-53 to this point. 3 games under 500. So there's 9 games this week that I pick. That means I've got to go 6-3 to get to 500.
Yep.
Do we think? What's your confidence level that I can have a 6-3 week?
Not great.
Not great. I mean, I had a 4-1 in week 11. I had a 5-1-1 in week 8. I had a 5-1 in week 6.
Stanza picks.
Stanza pick. I had a 9-6 in the opener. I had to pick 15 games that week. But we've got to get the hay in the barn. We've got to finish strong this weekend. So are we ready to get to it?
Yeah, we are.
All right, let's lock and load. We'll do chronologically. 2:30 Friday. Got to go 6-3. Got to go 6-3. It's the Egg Bowl. I can't believe this game is not Thursday night. That's a travesty. Ole Miss will host Mississippi State. They're a 26-point favorite in Oxford. Trey Harris is not going to play in this game, and Ole Miss's spirits are crushed. But the deal is, Mississippi State cannot stop anyone. Cannot play any defense. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. I think Ole Miss is going to play hard for Jackson Dart. I think the home crowd's going to be good, and I cannot pick Mississippi State anymore. I continue to pick them. They're terrible. They can't cover. I can't pick them anymore. So, give me Mississippi State plus the 26 points.
Hunt.
6:30 Friday, Georgia Tech at Georgia. It's a 19.5-point number. Haynes King and Georgia Tech have been scrappy. They beat a good Miami team 2 weeks ago. In that game, Cam Ward 3 for 348 and 3 touchdowns, and Miami could not really run the ball. Georgia is cooking a little bit on offense. They scored 31 on the Vols, 59 on UMass. Carson Beck didn't turn the ball over in that game. I think Georgia is really good, and I think they're going to crush Georgia Tech. So give me Georgia Tech plus the 19.5. I will do the opposite. The Vols are at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's catching 10.5. Tennessee just needs to win one game, and they're in. One win, they're in the playoff. They're the number 6 run defense in the nation. They are the number 4 defense in the nation against the run in terms of yards per carry. Vanderbilt is not going to be able to run the ball on this Tennessee defense. They're not going to be able to score on this Tennessee defense, and Tennessee is going to cover that 10.5. So give me Vanderbilt plus the 10.5. South Carolina's at Clemson. This is ridiculous. South Carolina is way better than Clemson, and Clemson's favored by 2.5. I could not love South Carolina more in this spot. Clemson's best win is Pitt. South Carolina's going to crush this team in Clemson. Give me Clemson minus the 2.5. Louisville is at Kentucky. Kentucky's catching 4. They've lost 5 of the last 6 by an average of 15 points per game. Louisville beat Clemson and Pitt. They lost to Stanford, which is not all that great. I like Louisville in this spot. Kentucky fans are checked out. Their team's checked out. They changed quarterbacks. Give me Kentucky plus 4 because I'm an idiot. All right, 2:30 Iron Bowl Saturday. Bama minus 11.5 in Tuscaloosa. Bama's got to be shell-shocked at this point. And Auburn's been a little bit better on offense lately. Peyton Thorne has only thrown 2 interceptions since October the 1st. Over that time, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I think Auburn's going to be a motivated team. I think Auburn's going to go in there and play Alabama really tough. That program is just not in a great space right now. Give me Bama minus the 11.5 because, of course. Arkansas is at Missouri. Missouri's very good on offense the last 3 games. They scored 30 on a good Oklahoma defense, scored 30 on a good South Carolina defense, scored 39 on State. I can't really handicap Arkansas at this point. They're weird. They're up, they're down. It just kind of depends. Brady Cook's senior day. Luther Burden's going to be honored for senior day. I think Missouri's going to play motivated. I think they're playing well enough on offense to beat Arkansas by more than 3 points. Give me the Hogs. I will take the 3. Florida State from Tallahassee, 14.5-point number. Of course, Florida is favored. Florida State scored 41 points on Charleston Southern last week. That was enough to climb out of dead last in the FBS in scoring. They were dead last 5 days ago. Napier is the toast of North Florida. I don't know how anyone could bet Florida State in this game. It seems to be completely impossible. I will have to do that, plus 14.5. That really hurts my pride. And then the big one, Horns at Aggies, 5.5-point number. What is this line? What is this line? What's Texas's biggest win? It's Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt. Kyle Fields going to be on fire. That is going to be a buzzsaw. We saw that in person with LSU. The wrong team's favored. A&M should be favored by 4 points in this game. This is an easy bet. Easy bet. A&M money line is the bet. So give me Texas laying 5.5 in front of the 12th man.
Oh,
Beck,
my gosh.
I will do the opposite to try to save the season.
Hunt, you just don't know. I couldn't be more proud of you right now. I really couldn't. It's just incredible effort from you here, and I'm just gonna be
Listen to these teams I have wagered on here: Mississippi State, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, Kentucky,
Florida State,
Arkansas, Florida State's terrible. There's no way this works. These teams are atrocious.
They are.
This can't work. There's no. What's my record gonna be? There's 9 games.
You're gonna go 7-2, Hunt. I'm calling it right now. 7-2.
If that happens, and I do that do that 2 different weeks in a season and come out with some sort of 80% win percentage, that is a blow to my pride.
It is, but I think you're gonna go 7-2. Obviously the Florida State one, that one I cannot believe. I just cannot believe it. But
these teams,
and then Kentucky and Louisville. Kentucky
quit a month ago.
They did.
Oh Lord!
It's at the grocery store.
At the grocery store, the big Kroger. There'll be 8,000 people there, drunk off turkey. That's not going to work. There'll be more Louisville fans there than Kentucky fans. Those are my SEC picks. I feel terrible about them.
I feel great about them.
Give me your breakdown on South Carolina, Clemson.
Yeah, that's
Clemson stinks.
They're not that good, but they. I don't know, man. I think South Carolina's going to win the game too, but at home, maybe it gets them over the hump.
All right, I gotta do this now. Hester's tweeting at me with these alternate uniforms that he loves. Hester, I'm put out with Hester. I can't deal with it. This man is essential to the fabric of LSU football. He's a legend. And he's pro garbage uniforms. That's just very sad to me. This man, a great friend, incredible football player, fantastic memories, uniform sensibility, F. And now he's taunting me over it.
Yeah, that's pretty shocking behavior from him.
I need somebody in the postgame. I got to do the postgame show during Brian Kelly's press conference. Somebody in the postgame needs to ask him about these uniforms. I need to know who's picking them, when the decision's being made. All these things need to be brought to my attention, because we've got to start at the foundation and pick away at that and get back to wearing LSU's football uniforms. But we'll see. All right, Matthew Brady's going to join us in 15 minutes. Still got some Saints Rams to talk about, as well as LSU and Oklahoma. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. I was chatting with Jonathan Carbo earlier today. I know a lot of folks renew their insurance on January the 1st. If that's the case, now is the time to get a second look. Now is the time to start that. You can't do it with a week out and holidays. It's just bad timing at the end of the year. You need to give yourself a little bit of time. And if you'd like a second opinion on your insurance, or just would rather have a relationship with your broker that you trust, Highland Insurance Group is the place to go. If you're a business owner, not real sure what EPL insurance responds to, not real sure what triggers a cyber attack and how you're covered for that and what the finances involved are, well, you can learn all that and understand why your business is best protected if you deal with the folks at the Highland Insurance Group. You never know when that car accident's coming. That damage can be extensive, can be really expensive. If that happens to you and you don't have the proper coverages because you were just trying to cut corners to save premium at renewal, could put yourself in a bind. Don't do that. Call the Highland Insurance Group. Jonathan Carver and his team are happy to help you anywhere in the state of Louisiana. They're online at HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings, and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756.
Hunt Palmer, lover of LSU, Shreveport, and mayonnaise on hot dogs. The Hunt Palmer Show.
Let's talk some hoops. Matthew Bruni covers both basketball squads as well as football and baseball for the Bengal Tiger over there on 3. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline as the women just wrapped up a win down in the Bahamas over NC State. Matthew, how are you?
Hey, Hunt, doing well. Yeah, trying to get all the basketball stuff done before Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Absolutely. Let's briefly start with the ladies. They go down to the Bahamas, get a nice couple of wins. Started slow in both games, honestly, but what'd you like about the last 2 games for Kim Mulkey's team?
Yeah, the Washington game was really tough for them. Washington played a zone, and LSU was really uncomfortable, didn't shoot the ball well, and honestly had no business winning that game. They ended up winning it on a Kalen Gilbert, broken play, finish at the rim with 1 second left, which was crazy. So you take that win, and then now you take up another level playing NC State, a team that made a Final Four last year and returned a lot of talent. And this was clearly their biggest test, and they passed it with flying colors. I mean, an 82-65 win, and really there was never a doubt after the first quarter. So I was really impressed offensively. They ended the game shooting over 50%, and it was by far the best game they've played this year.
Have they answered any questions that you had 2 weeks ago before the season, 3 weeks ago before the season started, or are we still in kind of wait-and-see mode as to what the ceiling of this team is?
No, I think this game was significant for answering a lot of those questions because, as we've talked about, everyone's talked about, they don't play anybody for the first few weeks of the year, so it's hard to get a gauge really on what their ceiling is. And I did have questions about whether it's a center position or just overall, shooting and scoring potential. But Michaela Williams bounced back. She had 0 on Monday. She had 24 today. Flau'jae is going to be consistent. Anise is going to be consistent. So I needed to see them do it against a talented team like NC State, and they completely did that today. So now I do feel better about them looking ahead to SEC play, where there is a lot of size and talent, as we know, in the conference.
All right, let's move over to Matt McMahon's men's basketball team. Let's start with the news of today. Damian Collins dislocated shoulder, second year in a row that he's done that. If he misses significant time or the rest of the season, how big a loss is that for LSU?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the full season. I'm hoping that maybe they get him back by January or so, some part in early conference play. But regardless, if he misses the next month or two, it is going to be significant. He is by far the best rim protector on the team. And with him, I really like their rotation in the front court. Without him, you're going to have to rely more on a Derek Fountain, more on a Robert Miller as a freshman. And so the lineups might not be as clean and the defense might not be as potent as it is with him on the court. But overall, I do think they still have some capable bodies. Jalen Reed and Corey Chess have stepped up. And I'm not super concerned in the front court about this team, but it is still something to watch.
Are you surprised that Corey Chest started the game? Not based on his play this season. Let's go back to November, early in the month, before the season started. Would it have surprised you then to learn that Corey Chest had cracked the starting lineup 3 weeks into the season?
No, not at all. I wrote a whole story saying he was my breakout pick and tweeted it, and he was I thought I was honestly more surprised that Robert Miller was starting, and I told you this last week. Him starting really surprised me. So they go to Corey Chest, and I just think he's the perfect complement to what they do in terms of rebounding and defense and doing the dirty work that maybe they don't have at the other positions right now. It's not fluid on offense with him on the court at the 4 because they don't have a ton of spacing. But regardless, I still think he's a very important player, even if he's not one of the 3 or 4 best players on the floor. He still does the dirty work, and I think it's really important for this team.
I saw you tweeted that you were a little bit surprised that Victorious Miller had kind of asserted himself scoring the way that he has early on in the year. What have you seen from his development?
Yeah, it's been really impressive. I thought it would take him a minute because he is so skinny and had to take. I remember watching them over the summer and in fall practices, and he would take some tough 2s, and the shot selection was a question mark, and the 3s aren't even falling for him right now. But he is just such a skilled player with a great feel for the game, and you really can't coach that. And so when LSU gets in trouble, they kind of just throw him in, and he's able to make things happen in transition in the half court. And so I've been really surprised and pleasantly surprised by his ability to score and fill it up. He also comes in when they go to those 4 guard lineups, and he's able to really, space the floor and make plays.
For every game before the show, I try to think of like something to watch, key matchup or whatever, and I look at opponent specific. But I always circle back to like, man, this team just needs Jordan Sears and Cam Carter to play really well, and if they do, they're going to be dangerous. And when they don't, it's going to be ugly. And that's kind of what I've kind of circled at this point in the season. Do you agree with that assertion?
100%. This is a team that as much as I love Jalen Reed and Corey Chest and the pieces and Victorious Miller, you need those 2 senior guards to compete. And I think in the Pitt game, it was a prime example of what it looks like when they are not on the level of their opponents. Neither one of them played well, and they were completely overwhelmed by Pitt's backcourt. They have to go toe-to-toe with every team that they play to have a chance. Sears has to shoot the heck out the ball from 3. Carter has to be really tough and get to the rim, get to the free throw line. Those 2 guys have to combine for, I'd say, probably at least 30 points every game.
How big a deal was getting that win on Sunday?
Oh, it was huge. It puts you at 2-0 against Big 12 teams. Moves you to 6-1 now, and I think with the rest of the non-conference schedule, the only tough games I would say that they have are SMU in Dallas and Florida State at home. So if you can win those 2, you're looking at a 1-loss non-conference, and that puts you in position to hopefully, even with how good the SEC is, get to 8, maybe 9 wins in conference play, and that is a lock for the tournament, in my opinion, if you can do that. Now, I do think the SEC is going to be very, very difficult, so I don't want to, be like, 9 wins is easy, but I definitely think they're in a good position if they can run the table for the rest of non-conference.
Yeah, let's briefly talk about that because I covered LSU when the SEC was a joke nationally, and it was all about the Big East and the ACC and the Big 12 certainly. Now I look up every single night, and the SEC is playing these super high-profile games and winning them. Just how tough is this league? Do you think it's the toughest league in America?
I do. I think Ken Palm also has it rated as the most challenging one. The Big 12 recently has added, with expansion and stuff, they've added some teams that have kind of brought them down a little bit, like a UCF or like a Colorado. But regardless, at the SEC top to bottom, you mentioned the top tier games. I mean, Auburn is, in my opinion, the best team in the country. Tennessee just blew out Baylor. Alabama just beat Houston. I mean, you go down the list. Even the middle tier teams, Texas just beat Syracuse and St. Joe's. I mean, there's a lot of talent here, and that's why I think last year's LSU team to go 9-9 was so impressive. And now this year, I know people are going to be expecting 9-9 and 10-8 and so on. It's just going to be very, very difficult, I think, to get to 10 wins. So I would be very happy if they got to 8 or 9 once again.
Matthew, we appreciate a little bit of time. Enjoy the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks. You too, Hunt.
Matthew Bruni, host of, he's over there at the Bengal Tiger, helps them out with their team coverage, basketball, baseball, and football as well. Good enough to join us to talk basketball each and every week. You're going to hear me say this a lot prior to the game against Florida State coming up on Tuesday. LSU needs to win that game. They need to go to SMU in Dallas and win that game. I'm going to try not to be hyperbolic, but this may be the best SEC ever. Like, it is the level of basketball this league is playing against Houston and Kansas and North Carolina. Like, they're playing the top of the sport and winning. And it's every night. And you know that Arkansas is going to be super talented. I think that Florida's got a pretty good team. Like, that's the middle to bottom of the league, not to mention talking about the Alabamas and the Auburns. Like, A&M's tough. It's going to be a bear every single night, and you're going to take some lumps in January and February in the Southeastern Conference. They're going to be, LSU's probably going to lose 2 or 3 games in a row, a time or two. Like, it's just going to be really difficult. You have to create if you're LSU, because I think LSU is in the bottom half of the league in terms of talent, but they're old, and I do think Matt McMahon's a good coach, and I think he showed that last year in getting that team to 9-9. I give LSU a fighting chance in the SEC. I do. I give them a real chance to make the tournament, but you cannot slip up in November and December because you're not going to be able to make it up in the SEC. It's just too hard. Going on the road to some of these places that LSU is going to have to go is going to be almost impossible to win. Of course, anybody can get hot and hit 14 threes, but like, realistically speaking, there are some games on the road in this league that LSU is just not going to be good enough to win. So it was huge to get that win on Sunday, and they need to take care of business on Tuesday against Florida State.
Yeah, and just looking ahead at the conference schedule, your first 3, I think, are manageable. You've got Vanderbilt at home. You got to go to Missouri, and Missouri's not great, I don't think. They got a new coach again this year, so we'll see. But Ole Miss, and then you got to go to Oxford, and Ole Miss is who knows? They
got a good coach.
They have a good coach.
They're going to play defense and rebound.
Yeah, and then the 4th one is Arkansas at home. So at least you get Arkansas at home there.
I think without looking at the schedule in front of me, I got a reasonable view of what it is. But without looking at it in front of me, you've got 18 conference games. It means you got 9 at home. You need to go 6-3 on your floor.
Yeah,
and then if you can find a way to get 2 or 3 on the road, then you can probably make the tournament. Because I think LSU set themselves up. And that's assuming you take care of your business for the next 4 weeks. You've got to find a way to go 6-3 at home, and then scrap and claw to get a couple. And truth be told, like it is with a lot of conferences, like you're gonna go to the under 4 timeout at 3 minutes and 12 seconds to go in a bunch of these games in a 3 or 4 point game, and like the margins are so small in basketball, and it's not inconceivable for a lot of those games to go your way or a lot of them to not go your way, and it can skew your record based on the team you actually are, because there's so many games that come down to the last few possessions. It's going to be a bear, and I can just tell you, like I'm watching a lot of SEC basketball at nights now after the kid goes to sleep and Peppa Pig comes off my TV. And I mean, we're not talking about SEC teams that are doing a good job beating, Maryland or Washington. Like they're beating North Carolina and Kansas and they're beating the top of the sport, Houston. So it's going to be a monster come January. LSU needs to keep socking away wins. They'll get their next opportunity to do that on Friday against Northwestern State. Thanks to Matthew for giving us a little bit of time. If you want LSU basketball talk, you can always find it on our podcast stream, Hoops with Hunt. Same podcast stream and logo that it ever was. We just started adding our basketball segments to it whenever we have those. So this one will go up there in due time. We'll come back. Still got to pick LSU and Oklahoma as well as Saints and Rams. We will do that. Still got some take it or leave it. So stick with us here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. We live in South Louisiana. In South Louisiana, we got hurricanes. We got nasty summer storms. Last year, we had an ice storm. Power goes out. It's a nuisance. It can be a bad deal if you work from home and you can't be productive. Just get rid of that. Get rid of the risk. Protect yourself and give yourself the peace of mind to know that you can have a Generac home standby generator installed at your home from the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical, and you won't have to deal with power outages. I tell this story all the time. Paul Skeen's about to take the ball against Tennessee in the College World Series opener, and my power went out because they had a strong 2:30 storm. I had to go to my wife's friend's mother's house to watch the game. Don't be like me. Get the generator and make sure that your power is not going to go out. Boudreaux's Electrical is first class. Neil and Melissa have been running it for 40 years. They got the same number they've had for 40 years. 985-397-1562. In the 225, you can call them at 393-89. I give you the easy way each and every day. It's Boudreaux'Electrical.com. Boudreaux'Electrical.com.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, I said we were going to cool the uniform talk, but I think there's just an assertion that I've got to make here on Twitter. Like, most of the comments on the LSU football post about the uniforms are negative. I think most people are like, okay, that was cool for like one time, but why are we keeping doing this? And I'm a little surprised by that because I was very much in the minority, like 2 months ago.
No, that's the thing. It's like people don't mind it and they like it a couple of times, but this many times in one season is
half
just
the games.
A lot.
Half the games.
Yeah.
They had 2 icy whites. That was Arkansas and A&M. They had was that Nichols where they went white, gold helmet?
Yeah.
Then you wore purple against UCLA.
Yep.
And that was UCLA thing. They wanted to wear white. So I'm not going to give LSU too much flack for that. But then you had the alternate, which is the gold last week, and then you got this one. That's the 6th game of 12. They will have done an alternate uniform, which I guess at a certain point isn't really an alternate.
No, it's not.
If it's just what you usually do. As Matt very tactfully put it last week, you're Missouri. Like Missouri wears alternate uniforms. It's kind of an evergreen topic because it keeps popping up, and like people kind of generally have dug their heels in. I've been kind of vocal since the beginning about what I would prefer LSU do, but that's not going to happen. And I think there's a contingent of. I mean, Brian Kelly said this last week. He was in a press conference, and they were talking about the Unity Council and like him meeting with the players and like how often that happens. I think it was a teleconference last week, and he said they meet on Mondays, and that's where we discuss such and such, and then what uniforms we'd like to wear. So it sounds like on Mondays the players come to him and say, "Hey, can we do this?" And he says yes, which that's their prerogative, I guess. But there's some sort of branding impact there that is being diminished. I'm quite confident, even though I'm not a marketing major. So, all right, let's talk some Saints. Saints yesterday did not have Lucas Patrick and Eric McCoy at practice, and this is kind of bringing back the thoughts of late September when the Saints started having cracks in that offensive line. And I think it's inarguable that Eric McCoy's loss for this team was just massive. And, you had your quarterback go out, and that certainly hurt you as well. And then your do-it-all gadget player in Taysom Hill goes out, and then you lose your top 2 receivers. And there have been injuries all over the offense, as y'all are well aware. But McCoy's is one that was just very difficult for them to overcome. You had to sign a center essentially off the street, went up to the Jets practice squad and plucked a center. And once McCoy came back, I think things went smoothly. He's the best offensive lineman that they have. He may not be the biggest talent. I would suggest that Trevor Penning and Taliese Fuanga are more gifted players, but in terms of consistency, steady play in the middle of that offensive line, Eric McCoy has been phenomenal. And the thing is, like, with him in there, the Saints have run the ball well, and that's really the key to everything they do offensively. They were able to do a good job in games against Atlanta and Cleveland with minimal outside weapons, because they could run the ball, and you get MVS off the street and he's making big plays, and it all kind of feeds off of the run game. And I just have to worry without McCoy and Patrick, who were day one starters on the offensive line in the interior. Without them, got to go to Saldiveri and make some changes at center, and like you just kind of weaken yourself. And it's not as if Cesar Ruiz has been a dominant player, so kind of your entire interior is compromised. And if they can't get that going, like Derek Carr and these wide receivers, this group of guys, whoever's healthy on a given week, that's not enough to win. It's just not. Like, you can't rely on Derek Carr throwing the ball 37 times with no complemented run game behind that offensive line with no weapons. It just doesn't work. And so it's early. They've still got Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for Patrick and McCoy to heal up, and we haven't gotten the injury report yet, and unfortunately that happens like right when we go off the air. But without those two guys, I really don't like the Saints' chances on Sunday. With them, I think it's perfectly reasonable to expect the Saints to compete and potentially win that game, and we just certainly won't have that information until later on in the week. But I looked at this matchup a little bit earlier today, and as I kind of look at it, I think the Rams look better on paper than they really are offensively. I think that's when you look at Kupp and you look at Nakua, and you look at Stafford, and you think maybe they're a little bit beyond, well, not Nakua's case, but in Kupp and Stafford's case, maybe they're a little bit beyond their prime. And I'm ready to see if the New Orleans Saints defense can match up with those guys. And right now, I do think that the Saints should be able to hold up at the point of attack, and I do trust those two corners on the outside to play pretty good football against a talented wide receiver core. I think my snag comes when you flip the ball and you start talking about this Saints offense. You need to get Taysom going early and often. I'm way pro Taysom early and often, and you'll certainly get Kamara a lot of touches as well. And the effectiveness with which they can run will dictate what the Saints are able to do in the game on Sunday. I'll pick this one. Right now, I'm gonna go with a Saints running game that can't quite function. That I think disrupts the passing game, and that I think allows the door to open for the Rams to win this game. I will pick LA to win this game by a final score of 26-20. I think that it's competitive. I think the Saints will play really hard. I think the Dome will be a pretty reasonable environment, but I can't trust that Saints offensive line. Not with the injuries that I'm looking at right now. So I'll pick the Rams begrudgingly, but hopefully the Saints can get it done and win a third in a row and kind of keep things mildly interesting for the time being. We'll see coming up on Sunday at 3 o'clock. All right, let's talk some LSU and Oklahoma. We've broken this one down a number of different ways over the course of the week. This Oklahoma offense has just been atrocious from start to finish, and they found a bit of a spark in the game on Saturday against Alabama. Now, I would argue that more so than the 250 yards that they ran for, the spark was Jalen Milroe turning the ball over. Garrett Nussmeier's had problems with that. That's something that needs to change, as it did this past Saturday against Vanderbilt in this game against Oklahoma. If Garrett Nussmeier looks like he did against Arkansas, looks like he did against Vanderbilt, LSU's going to be fine, because they'll score some points. Oklahoma won't be able to mount as many drives as they'd like, and LSU will win the game. I just don't think that Oklahoma unlocked some new offensive identity against Alabama. I think the snowball got rolling downhill, and there was very little that Jalen Milroe could do to reverse it. But at the end of the day, you're still talking about an Oklahoma offense that is dead last or second to last in the SEC in scoring offense, total offense, yards per carry, passing offense, sacks allowed, tackles for loss allowed, third down conversions, and yards per play. It's just terrible. Last or second to last. LSU should be able to pose a threat against that. Here's where things could flip. If LSU can't run the ball, and Oklahoma's been great against the run, they are third in the SEC in yards per carry allowed. They are second in the SEC in tackles for loss. They do not allow explosive runs. They've given up the second fewest in the SEC of 10-plus yards. And they've bowed up in the red zone, second in red zone. That's a salty defense against the run. It has been vulnerable at times against the pass. Only 3 teams in the league give up more explosive passing plays than Oklahoma. But what do we know about LSU's offense? Sometimes when that running game goes away, the pressure gets turned up. And I have watched Brent Venables enough to know what he is. And I've talked about this a lot over the last couple of days. He will get very exotic on third downs and bring pressure and confuse the quarterback's eyes, confuse the offensive line's protections. And if that happens and they get home to Nussmeier, they can make things tough on LSU defensively. So that matchup concerns me kind of a lot. And so I think this game is going to be really close, and I think it's going to be fairly low scoring, which is not something that LSU has gotten into a lot. But I like Oklahoma's defense against LSU, and I still think Oklahoma's offense stinks against LSU's defense. So I think it comes down to late game situations, and I'm going to trust the better quarterback in late game situations as opposed to the better defense. I will take LSU to win the game on Saturday by a final of 20-17. I think it may come down to a field goal right there at the very end. LSU hadn't played a lot of tractor pulls, a lot of slugfests over the last 2 years. I think this one could be that inside Tiger Stadium. Now, keep in mind, I am well aware that I have been atrocious at picking LSU games this year. I was wrong for the USC game. I was wrong for the Ole Miss game. I was wrong for the A&M game, wrong for Alabama, wrong for Vanderbilt. That's 5 games I've missed. I missed this one. We're talking about half the season that I've missed, and that counts games against Nichols and South Alabama. So my picks stink. Hopefully this one's a little bit better, but I'll take LSU 20-17 to win this one on a Saturday night in Death Valley. We've got one more order of business to do. That's a little bit of take it or leave it before we get on down the road, and then quite literally get on down the road to Shreveport for a little Thanksgiving. Come back with us, The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every single vehicle in the line of Genesis was given the IIHA top safety picks. Some of them were top safety picks plus. I can tell you to go by Genesis of Baton Rouge, and you'll be able to get behind the wheel, and you can tell how stylish these vehicles are, how sleek they are, how comfortable they are, how incredible the features in the drive. It's a luxury vehicle. You can tell that. Tougher to tell safety until you really need it, and these cars have stood up to that test. Every Genesis is backed by that guarantee of the IIHA top safety pick, and some of them top safety pick plus, as I mentioned. If safety is a priority to you, Genesis certainly needs to be an option for you. If you're on Airline Highway shopping for cars in Baton Rouge, make one more stop. Airline at PICU. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. One of their brand ambassadors will help you out and walk you through that experience. It's first class, start to finish at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every car in the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. That's genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show. Hopefully Hunt remembered to bring his laptop charger. Nah, there's no chance.
All right, we're about done here. On a Thanksgiving week for the Hunt Palmer Show. What time is kickoff on Saturday, Beck? 6 o'clock? Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, it sounds right. Sounds right, but it'll probably obviously be like 6:15.
Yeah, so 6 o'clock, that means 1 o'clock, Eagle on 8.1 game day from Rouse's, Burbank, and Lee, Charles Hanniger from Matt Musso. I'll come on at 4 o'clock on the LSU Sports Radio Network, get you ready for the call of the game 30 minutes after it goes final. You can catch myself, Marlon, and Brandon on Fighting Tiger post-game report for about an hour, 90 minutes after it goes final on Saturday night. Be Richard Dixon, Charles Hanniger from right here in the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio, Eagle 98.1 Game Day's post-game show, getting you all caught up on scores from around the country in reaction to LSU and Oklahoma. So 1 o'clock, we go on the air over on Eagle, going probably past 1 o'clock in the morning, coming up on Saturday night in Death Valley. Very much looking forward to that. Very much looking forward to a little bit of Thanksgiving. So we got one thing left to do. Let's play some Take It or Leave It, Beck.
Alrighty, first one here. Turkey over ham. Take it or leave it.
Got to take it. I mean, the key here is the fried turkey. We do the fried turkey at the Palmer house. It's the men go out in the yard and dunk that turkey in grease. The smell is incredible.
Oh, so you mean you don't do it in the garage where everything catches on fire?
No, we're out in the driveway. We got the cardboard spread out.
Okay,
what you got to watch is the 3-year-olds and the dogs.
Yes,
the 3-year-olds and the dogs are the issue. So got to make sure that everybody's got the area cleared. But it's delicious smelling and delicious tasting. I'll probably have a piece of ham on my plate come Thursday, maybe. But I'd rather turkey.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I always end up getting a piece of ham, and then I eat everything else, and then I eat like half of it. I'm just like, I don't want the rest of it. Like I don't care that much.
What's really key on Thanksgiving for this meal is you got to allocate your real estate properly on the plate. You can't be putting something where it doesn't need to be and cutting your ability to get what you really need. So it's all a real estate game.
There's a real strategy involved.
There is.
It really is.
Not my first time. I'll do a great job on Thursday, no question.
I'm sure you will. Next one here, dressing. Take it or leave it.
I probably won't even get it. The dressing is fine. Like, it's good. My mom and my aunts make it, and it's okay. It's not worthy of the real estate.
Okay.
I don't need it.
It's interesting. That's a different perspective from not only my family, but also my wife's family. In both sectors, the dressing is revered. It is a very important part of the meal.
Is there oyster involved here? Or are we just talking traditional?
So my grandmother on my mom's side will usually make a regular cornbread dressing, and then she'll also make an oyster as well.
Okay.
The cornbread is more highly touted.
Okay.
But of course, you also got to have the gravy on the dressing as well.
Look, I'm not anti. If you gave it, but there are like 5 different things that I want more, and I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah. Next one here, cranberry sauce. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I might put a little on the turkey.
I'm good without it.
It'll be there. But it is by far and away the smallest size in the buffet line.
Oh yeah.
Like there's these huge casserole style things that are gonna be out, and the cranberry is like this little bowl, and I don't think it's gonna be. It won't even get eaten.
The most disgusting thing to me though is the people that eat the cranberry out of the can, where you have to slosh it out of there, and it comes out and it's got all the lines on it.
Winced at the thought of that.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. So my family will make a homemade cranberry, and that's good.
Okay.
But there's some people that prefer the canned kind.
No.
That literally, it's just I can't do it. All right, next one here, sweet potato casserole. Take it or leave it.
See, this may be 1-1 for me. I might get a second dollop on the plate.
Interesting.
The sweet potato, it's got the brown sugar crust on the top.
Yeah.
No marshmallows in ours, even though I'll take the marshmallows, but we will not have those there this way. I love sweet potato casserole. If I go back for seconds, which is doubtful, I will definitely get that.
I'm kind of the dressing mindset where you are. I can take it or leave it. I'm not. It's not always. It's not always going to be there for me. But I do think it's pretty good. But it's not a must-have for me.
It's a must-have for me.
All right, next one here, apple pie. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that. Now, we got a lot of pies
There's
working
plenty
at the
of
Palmer
other pies
house.
that we need.
My uncle calls it pie pacing. He's going to have multiple pieces over the course of 2 hours. There's a pie pacing strategy that he's got. I like what I'm really upset about is that I can't watch the Egg Bowl with a chocolate pie and a scotch, which is like what I love to do in the evening of Thanksgiving. I will have chocolate pie, potential coconut pie, potential pumpkin pie, but chocolate is the goat. I don't need apple ever. Don't need apple pie. Don't care.
Mine. I'm gonna need. So Mississippi mud pie is one that my family does, and then pecan pie is high on the priority list for me. And chocolate pie too, man. Chocolate pie is the really good stuff. It's kind of similar to Mississippi mud, so you could probably go either way there. But
it needs to be really cold, though.
Yeah, it's got to be cold.
Because sometimes they'll leave the pies out,
you
so people
can't
kind
do
of
that with
grate. Well,
chocolate
I
pie.
can't. That's no good.
No,
it needs to
it's
come
not.
out of the fridge.
It does.
And here's a fact that's going to happen. I have a tea time at 8:10 on Friday morning.
Ooh, wow.
I will have a piece of chocolate pie before I go out there. That's gonna be like a 6:45 a.m. chocolate pie, and I don't care.
And then
it's one day a year.
And then some cold pops as well at 8 a.m.
That's
which
correct.
Is just
Absolutely.
unbelievable to me.
Absolutely.
Really good stuff from you on that. All right, last one here, evening turkey sandwich, which you actually talked about a little bit earlier, but take it or leave
I was
it.
on the Instagram story.
I'll take it.
I'm taking that all day. That's just, you get that turkey sandwich, put a little mayo, a little cheese with the fried turkey.
Gotta have the mayo, of course.
I mean, without mayo, there is no sandwich. So if there's a sandwich, I gotta have mayo.
Yeah.
That is good stuff right there.
It is.
It may be, I may be as excited for that as the actual meal, quite frankly.
Well, yeah, it's interesting how that works. Like it's just a sandwich with turkey on it, but
it's fried turkey.
It is fried turkey.
It's way better than
really
out of
good.
the deli down the street,
Absolutely.
like I eat every single day for lunch.
Yeah, no
this
question.
is a special treat.
It is.
All right, that's it. We're going to get on out of here. If you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can find us. We did my SEC Power Rankings. We did SEC Picks Against the Spread. JD PicKell talking college football. We had a couple segments on Saints and Rams. You can find that at Hunt on Saints on YouTube. And my final pick for Saints, Rams, and LSU, Oklahoma. Got the Rams. I do have LSU. We'll see. We're off the next couple of days. Y'all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Back on the airwaves on Saturday, and then back here, same time, same place on Monday. Have a great weekend. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com is the website. We'll be in Shreveport this weekend, but I can still remotely arm and disarm the burglar alarm so that my neighbor can go over and feed my cat, which is going to happen here over the next couple of days. We can do that because we've got the app and the security system that was all set up by the folks at Audio Video Security Solutions. We can see the front door and the back door with the camera 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We can pause, zoom in, record, no cloud storage fees of any kind. And customer service has been fantastic since the installation, right when we moved into the house. That's Mitchell Fisher and his team at Audio Video Security Solutions. You can find them on Instagram to see some of the pictures and videos. Their great work at AVSS_BR. And as we always tell you, you can find them online at AVSSLA.com. It's Mitchell Fisher and his local Baton Rouge team, Audio Video Security Solutions. Check them out online. It's AVSSLA.com, AVSSLA.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the one